Macca's Guides.
Hey everyone, Macca here playing Payday 3, and in this video I'm going to show you how to grab both of the achievements for 99 boxes, including securing the maximum amount of loot and getting both of the high-tech devices at their maximum value. We'll be playing on the very hard difficulty and doing the vast majority of this mission in stealth. We actually break it on purpose at the end because it's way faster. Before starting, I would recommend going to the arms dealer and buying a zipline bag favor that you end up using in this run. And for your loadout, you may have more luck if you use the light ballistic armor lining. I'll be explaining this as though you are doing it solo, but doing it with a co-op partner or a full group will make this faster and easier, most likely. Feel free to split up the tasks among your co-op group so that everyone's doing something different. And feel free to use your stealth build as this one is the most important. Our first cause of action is to hack both of the phones on the guards. They will be pretty much in the same locations every single time. This first guard on the east, you can actually hack him right through the door, and then you will stay in range if you stay inside of the ticket booth. This is a very easy strategy to stay in stealth, but for this you can also just approach the guard, let him spot you, and as he's escorting you off the premises, you can hack the phone and he'll just escort you back outside. And then you can go and grab the other guard. So that's the first two things we're going to do. We're going to hack the east phone and the west phone. We need both of the phones to be hacked in order to gain entrance to the high-tech devices later on in the mission. And then our next course of action after we do this will be to destroy the security guard at the camera station. But let's go and grab the other phone by going to the left side. Here you can make a pretty quick route to the guard by lockpicking your way through, watching out for cameras, and then sprinting into the guard, making sure he sees you. As soon as he sees you, he will escort you off the premises, and this is the easiest way to do this. As he's escorting you out, hack the phone on his belt, making sure that none of the cameras see you do this. At this point, just make sure you follow him all the way out. At this point, just make sure you follow him all the way out. This should leave you with more than enough time to hack the phone all the way. And at that point, we can now start trying to head inside to disable the cameras and work on some of the routes we'll need to keep in stealth as long as possible. Opening both of the high-tech components easily requires us to stay in stealth for as long as possible. So stay in stealth if you want to make this easy. If you break stealth, it's not a huge deal, but it will cause a lot of forces to come and get you. At this point, you can now put on your mask and go through the truck at the front gate, which leads directly into the warehouse. There will be 4 wooden boxes you have to look out for, but the first cause of action is hug the right wall and head towards the trailer, opening up the back. Continue hugging the right wall and feel free to take out any guards on the main floor. If you continue hugging the wall, make sure you obviously answer the radios of any of these guards, but you will find the security office room. Says it requires a blue key card, but it's actually lying to you. You can just walk in straight through the door. If this is patched in the future and you do require a blue key card, it's usually found on a guard inside of the shipping container yard, and you'll have to grab it off of him and then come back here, which can be a little bit tricky. With the downstairs camera room taken care of and any guards that are getting in the way also taken care of, I'd highly recommend stashing them in the security room as no one really visits there. You may also have some civilians who get in the way. Make sure to tie them down. You can now look for the liquid coolant inside of one of the 4 wooden boxes. Grab the liquid coolant and then place it into the truck. And now what we'll have to do is hack the computer. Again, if you're in co-op, this is something you can split amongst the members of your group. You'll get it done a lot more quickly. If one person's taking out a guard, one person's taking out the cameras, one person's putting the coolant into the truck, you save a lot of time not having to do things in order. Now, to hack the computer, you'll want to go upstairs. There will be a guard roaming around here. I would recommend leaving this guard alive, but we are going to take him out in this gameplay. You will probably have more success if you let him just chill out as long as he doesn't spot you, because that'll give you an extra radio that you can use later. But once you do get upstairs, lockpick through that door in that side office in order to find the computer. Start the hack on the computer and take out the guard if you choose, or let him be. If you take him out, make sure you take his body to the security camera room. This is the safest place for it to be. Once the computer hack is done, interact with it, and this should spawn you with a zipline bag. If you use the favor that I mentioned at the beginning of the video, you'll have a very easy way to zipline across into the correct courtyard. You can get east or west. It will just be a mirror image of each other pretty much. If you didn't use the zipline favor, I think it spawns near the back of the facilities, which can just require you to do a little bit of extra sneaking. Now, before you zipline across, take a look into the storage container area and look for the 5 white containers. Those are going to be the 5 containers we need to loot. 2 of them have the high-tech components, and 3 of them have 2 bags of cash each, which makes up the total of 8 bags we'll be required to loot if we want to grab all of the loot on hard difficulty achievement. Stay in stealth as much as possible and get into your first container using the QR code, interacting with the panel once inside. This starts the minigame where you have to stand in the circles to fill up the bypass security guard thing in the top left corner. So do that and open it up, and do not take the item inside until you are ready to run the route and deliver it. You can only do one of these containers at a time, so if your co-op group splits up, you can't do both, but it is a good decision to have someone on the other side running their stealth route just to get into position. Now, once you do get the container, you have to sprint back into the truck as fast as possible, and this is a good route for an easy one to not get spotted. You're going to want to mantle over the fence, as the fence will be locked because you're still in stealth. You can then head up some of the boxes and go inside. If you're in the other container yard, it's a very similar, almost identical path. It'll be actually easier to stay in stealth since there's less guards, but make sure you throw the bag into the loading area before the bar on the left turns from an A to a B. Now use the zipline to get back into the storage containers and start working towards the next high-tech component, which is the white box that requires the QR code. It's important you stay in stealth, because if you don't, you can't do this. You will instead get thermite, and this becomes much harder as you'll have to fight a lot more enemies. It's not required, but it does help. It's also a good idea now to start looting these 6 bags of cash that are required to get all of the loot, but these are the ones that are not going to be behind the QR codes. The best option here is to prep these bags for a zipline run later on, but if you want to try to sneak them back and forth, you can. It just takes a lot longer. If you have a group of 4, it's not as bad, but if you're doing this solo or with 2 people, you probably want to prep these for the zipline, as long as you can stay in stealth as long as possible. This will just allow us to do it easier later on. Once you do have one of the high-tech components done, you can start hacking the next one, and the same thing. Use the QR code that we got from the guard at the beginning, hack the little panel, and then stand in the pressure plates to fill up the bar. Once we fill up that bar, we can activate the next high-tech component and run it to the truck. At this point, it's not really as big of a deal if you break stealth, because you have access to both of the high-tech components. And if you've prepped all of the cash as well, you can make a very fast and quick exit without having to worry about the reinforcements showing up. So like I said, because we have both of the components opened, it's not really a big deal if we break stealth. We're going to prep a little bit of cash before I run back and steal the next component, which I'm now going to speed run into the truck. Now, usually what happens is there's one really easy route and one slightly harder route. This is where having a perk that gives you rush and lets you run faster becomes very helpful, especially if you have a standard lining that is not as heavy for your armor. You'll want to just take the absolute fastest route and mantle over and then stash the next high-tech device in the truck. There's always going to be a way to mantle over the fence, which is important because the fence isn't opened unless you trigger an alarm. Now that you have both of the high-tech components, hopefully done in their full value, the achievement or trophy actually unlocks mid-game. If you want to continue and grab all of the loot for the other achievement/trophy, you can start doing that now. Because it's prepped on the zipline, all you really need to do is throw over all of the bags. You can do this solo or with your group for ease. And once the bags come over, they'll fall on the ground where the zipline ends, and then you just gotta relay race them to the truck. Assuming you have broken stealth, it's a-okay. There is a pretty easy finish that you can do very quickly. We'll get out of the map before the enforcements actually arrive. So here our last bag is going in the truck, and we're going to lock it. If we were in stealth, all we would need to do is stand in front of the truck to escape, but because we are not in stealth, we will have to quickly deploy a spike strip. You can usually locate the spike strip near the front of the map. grab it and activate it near where a couple of the police are. You may have to take out like literally 2 or 3 enemies here, and then put down the spike strip. Once you do put it down, you do actually have to interact with it to deploy it, and then once you deploy it, it's as easy as leaving the map for the finish. If you played on very hard and got both of the high-tech components at full value, you'll get the high-tech Mogul achievement, and there is a second achievement for getting all of the loot on hard. Hopefully this video was informational and useful. If it was, make sure you share with a friend and drop a like. Special thank you to everyone on Patreon for supporting the show. Shout out to Cluck for showing me the strategy, and hopefully I see you soon. Peace.